Welcome to episode number 150 of the Beyond Social Media Show, the podcast for marketing, advertising, public relations, and communications professionals. We're recording live on YouTube on July 17, 2016. Our topics for this week are Facebook video and more tragedy, the Trump Pence campaign logo, PokemonGO, the good and the bad, more Twitter live streams, a lot more stories that we'll cover, and we'll wrap it up with some cool marketing tools and stats you'll want to know. BL always has the honors to kick it off, though. BL, what was the worst story of the week?
Well, there is a lot of bad news this week. However, I think probably as we speak, there's probably somebody on Facebook Live broadcasting the tragedies that are taking place as we speak in both Baton Rouge and Baltimore. And, you know, the problem is, and this is from a story by Nate Swanner in the Next Web, and, you know, talking about how in a rush to be a news outlet, Facebook's editorial team showed really bad judgment, because in the aftermath of the attack in Nice, when a truck plowed through the crowd and killed innocent people, it was picked up on Facebook's Newswire page, and there was a horrifically graphic video, and people complained that in the video people were identifiable, you could see their injuries or worse, and that it was disrespectful to their families. And in some cases, their families didn't even know about it until they would have seen it there or heard about it from there. And, you know, it's clear that the editorial team at Facebook has a way to go. I mean, they are trying to come up with what their policy should be, but they're not a news organization. They don't have a way of vetting information. And, you know, they can't make the decisions, as we were talking about in the green room before the show. They can't make these decisions until after the fact. They can't censor what people are going to put on live. So it's an ongoing problem, and I don't envy them having to deal with it. It's not an easy situation.
Yeah, I think there's two issues with regard to this. I think one is the sort of just the live broadcast function, where you have incidents where people are filming tragedies that happen on live, as we've seen twice before in the past month that we've been discussing this issue. And I guess you need to figure out what the policies are around that particular dynamic. But then the other is Facebook's positioning themselves without saying so as a news organization. Then you have editorial judgment that comes into play. And if you are putting some of these live videos into a section or algorithm that's promoting it as breaking news, then you need to have some editorial oversight over that, and you need to exercise some editorial judgment, because you know what, I don't want to see these types of videos in my news feed regularly. I think there's benefits to it, but man, we're going towards a really scary kind of situation if there isn't somebody saying this is what we can show and this is what we can't show. And
YouTube has done that. YouTube has remember, they created a situation where they have a channel that vets the news.
Yeah, that's the thing they need. It's like, I mean, newspapers aren't going to show, you know, the dead bodies that are identifiable and
until they know what's going on. Exactly. So, you know, but there are, as you said, there's two sides to this, because in terms of what happened with Diamond Reynolds, you know, that was a remarkable video, and as has been made very clear, were it not for that video, Philando Castile's death would not have been shown in the real way that it was. So it plays a very it's a fine line that they're walking, and this is an evolving situation. Fascinating, however.
Yep. I mean, in news judgment, in that instance, there was some clear news judgment not exercise, but there was from the video. It was illuminating in an issue of the day that is of import to the public. Just showing the dead bodies in France, that doesn't really
It's disaster porn. I don't want to see disaster porn, you know? Children can see that. I mean, it's awful. So anyway, tell us one of your awful.
Yes, so on to a far less heavy subject. The Trump campaign, Trump now has a running mate. He announced his running mate after kind of waffling and dithering and second guessing, and finally decided he was going to choose Indiana Governor Mike Pence as his running mate. This is from a story at The Hill by Neat Zan Zimmerman, and a lot of people reported on this. They sent out an email, fundraising email with the new logo for the Trump Pence campaign that featured a capital T for Trump, and the capital T was penetrating, there's no other word for it, the loop of a capital letter P for Pence in the logo.
Which is exactly what's happening to America.
The internet had a good laugh over it. Some of the comments on it, here's one that quote, "So they're really going with TP 2016, comma, huh? Question mark." Accompanied by an image of the logo on a roll of toilet paper. Congressman Dingell said on Twitter, "What is the T doing to that P?" And somebody replied to that tweet, "It's just two consenting adult letters being intimate with each other. Back off." It was a curious design choice, given that Trump's own ambivalence about his VP pick, and the fact that he chose Pence in part, at least, to appeal to Christian conservatives, with whom I imagine the logo did not go over very well. This logo is not welcome in certain Indiana pizzerias, another Twitter poster said. That's a reference to the law that Pence signed that essentially allowed businesses to discriminate against LGBT people, and then he faced a backlash from Indiana's business leaders over that policy. He had to amend the law. Planned Parenthood probably had the best one, though. Planned Parenthood New York Action Fund redesigned the logo by sheathing the T in a condom. And their comment was, "We fixed the Trump Pence logo. Stay safe, y'all, when it comes to sex and voting." And then hashtag not my ticket, hashtag I'm with her. Obviously, they're not a fan of Trump because Trump has said he wants to defund Planned Parenthood. So
this is so funny, Dave, because I had this in the best, because to me this just indicate, and it was gone on, in under 24 hours. It's not there anymore. But as we say every week, what goes online stays online, and of course it's still there and it will always be there. But I had it in the best because it's just another example of how inept this man is, how absolutely inept his campaign has been. And who designed it? I mean, who's his team? He has his family, and now he has Pence, who seems pretty reluctant to be there, frankly. And he made this insane speech when he announced him. I mean, so I thought that was one of the best things that happened, because it showed what a jerk he is.
What's the purpose of a logo? In terms of, I know that's the politics of it, BL, and but the communication aspect of it, what is the purpose of a logo? It's for branding. It's for getting a message across.
Of course, and
oh my God, how could you not see that? Or was it deliberate? Were you not so happy about your choice, your VP choice?
Even he would not do it for that reason. Even he.
But it was, come on. Amateur hour.
It was amateur hour. So the other Twitter debacle of the week was the hashtag ConservativeBecause, and it backfired. This is from a story by Tom McKay and Mike, and the hashtag began when Future Female Leaders, a conservative group that exhorts young women to vote with your lady smarts, not your lady parts, whatever that means, issued a call for young conservative women to share their stories with others. And surprise, surprise, it went away. So Donald Trump, who I find hilarious, real Donald Trump, he had conservative because I believe marriage should be between one man and a series of progressively younger women. Scott Woolidge said, I believe marriage is sacred and between a man and a woman, and my secretary and the occasional hooker, but no gay stuff. And then Sick Transit Gloria said conservative because the government should stay out of your life, but also cops should be able to kill you if you don't do exactly what they say.
Well, if you're going to do a political hashtag, you can expect the other side to join in. So
they should probably just not do it.
This was a fascinating. There's nothing to do with politics for a break. This is an article from Ad Age, Jeremy Barr, who reports on some email open rate problems that a lot of people are not not familiar with. So he takes a case study of the Clover letter, which is an email newsletter for girls, and the founders wrote a blog post on Medium about their issue, and basically it's pointing to a little known issue with email open rates. Now, email open rates are counted by the email provider. So MailChimp, for example, uses a 1 pixel by 1 pixel transparent GIF image that has a unique file name that they send out with each email that is sent through their system. So if you have 50 people on your email list, you send out a newsletter to those 50 people. There will be 50 different emails that are transparent GIFs that are generated. And the way that you recognize whether those have been open is that those GIFs had been viewed. And that's how email service providers count open rates. So email providers like Gmail use a technique called email clipping for email messages that are larger than 120 kilobytes. And for mobile, it's even the limit is 20 kilobytes. So if your email that you're sending out is larger than 102 kilobytes, everything after that will be clipped off, and you'll have to click on a link in your Gmail account called View Entire Message to see the whole thing. The pixels, the tracking pixels, are after that cutoff. So those emails aren't being counted as opens in your open rates. So any email that is larger than 102 kilobytes doesn't get counted as an open. Or on mobile, any email,
kilobytes, Dave?
it's not much. I mean, it's if you have a couple of large images in your email, you could go over that rate. And for mobile, it's 20 kilobytes. So it's not a lot. So shorter emails for your shorter email newsletters for your newsletters. If you're seeing the view entire message link, you gotta shorten those up so you don't get that anymore. But little known issue with email open rates.
Well, so of course, big news of the week: PokemonGO, and it did. There's really good stuff to report about. We could have done the whole show about it, and there's great stuff to report about it, bringing augmented reality to the masses, helping people understand at long last what it means. But in the process of looking for the characters, and there are multiple sources with this this issue, but at least one place that really would like to keep Pokemon out is the Holocaust Museum, and another is Arlington National Cemetery, and many other landmarks became Pokestops, and a player can get free in-game items there, and they, unfortunately, playing the game was absolutely inappropriate at the museum because it's a memorial. The Holocaust Museum is a memorial to the victims of Nazism, and one of the Pokemon characters who was caught, who could be caught there, emits gas, and it was in the auditorium where Helena Rubinstein Auditorium that shows testimonials of Jews who survived the gas chambers. It could not have been more inappropriate. There was no way you could have been more inappropriate than that. And, that happened multiple times. And I mean, people had a really good time, but some people fell into holes, and some people, there were some issues. No two ways about it.
Yeah, I mean, one, it's on the game developers to not place game things at those types of locations. I mean, that should be fairly clear. But two, it's on the players to
not go there.
Come on, exactly.
Yeah.
Know where you are.
There wasn't a lot of brain use going on, unfortunately. I mean, but some smart retailers took advantage of it. But what I kept reading over and over again was, even though crowds of people came, even when you made your place allure, they didn't necessarily pay any attention to what you were selling, or your place or your product, or did they buy anything. They just took their Pokemon and they went. So whether that helped their business or not, I don't know. But there were signs outside some of the bars on 3rd Avenue the other night. Pokemon in here, and trying to get people to come in, which is clever and funny. But did it sell anything? I don't know. But
well, we have an example, at least one of the early examples of it working for somebody. There's this is from a TechCrunch article by Lucia Maffei, I believe is how you pronounce her name. The PokemonGO is going to be selling sponsored locations, basically. So retailers and companies will be able to buy locations on the game's virtual map in hopes of driving customers to their facilities. Advertisers will be charged on a cost per visit basis, similar to Google's cost per click search advertising. The Financial Times reports that a pizzeria in Queens saw business increase 75% after buying a $10 in-game power-up that lured Pokemon to its location. Now, have you played Pokemon, BL?
I am not going to play Pokemon. Have you played Pokemon?
I have played Pokemon. I've been playing around with it, and you can get these power-ups that will lure the characters to you wherever you place them. And so obviously this restaurant bought one of those power-ups to lure Pokemon to its location and thus lure players of Pokemon to their location. So I think whether it sells anything, this is an example. This is the Financial Times actually cited an example of somebody who had actually gotten business out of it. I think what it really comes down to is what is the sophistication of the advertising behind it. If there's not a lot of sophistication behind it, then maybe it's just Foursquare in a clever way, a more clever version of Foursquare. But given that this is a Google spinoff, I suspect the advertising is going to be pretty sophisticated behind it. So we'll see.
It remains to be seen. It's a fascinating thing, the way that it came up and, became a thing overnight. I mean, nothing's done that in a very long time. So that's extremely cool. But, on the side of Facebook Live, and I'm on to better news, unless you have more.
Yes, that was, I think we already made the transition.
Okay, all right. We've talked about this, about how Facebook Live and the things that it's going to do or not do, and the revolution actually was broadcast in Turkey. I saw this on Gizmodo. The name of the reporter was Matt Novak, and even after social media was blocked in the whole Turkish coup, somehow Turkish President Erdogan gave an interview via FaceTime, and the country's in chaos and the military coup is still happening, and he managed to broadcast to Facebook Live and Twitter. And that's pretty remarkable. The military declares martial law and they're censoring the media, but he was able to get on CNN Turkey remotely with a broadcaster holding up her phone facing the camera so they could FaceTime. Welcome to the 21st century.
Yeah, it's pretty. I mean, we see the evolution of the technologies. Before it was, in Tiananmen Square, it was getting faxes out to the rest of the world. And now we've got actual live broadcasting, individual live broadcasting in the people's hands. Yeah.
Mind-boggling. I mean, the revolution literally being broadcast. That's just it's dystopian.
Yeah. Well, the video streaming is obviously huge, and it continues. There's continues to be new headlines every week. This week, Twitter is in the headlines because of it. They had a deal. This is from a TechCrunch article, again by Lucinda Maffei. Twitter and Bloomberg have struck a deal to live stream 3 Bloomberg shows on Twitter, as well as the network's coverage. The shows include Bloomberg West, which broadcasts technology news, What'd You Miss, which delivers global financial news at the close of the U.S. markets trading day, and With All Due Respect, which contains a political analysis. So you add that to Twitter doing the NFL broadcasts on Thursday night, live streaming those this coming season. They already did Wimbledon, and they're in talks with the NBA and Major League Soccer and Turner Broadcasting to do some live streaming. So they're clearly trying to compete with the rest of the live streaming, and it would seem the Netflixes and Hulus of the world, and Amazon Primes of the world, to capture that video audience, while also positioning themselves, or maybe reclaiming their mantle as the breaking news place.
Well, they're also going to be broadcasting live from both national conventions, and that's from a New York Times story by Mike Isaac, and they will partner with CBS, and they're going to live stream both of them, and they're trying to become a leader in news and entertainment, and they'll air the videos on desktop and mobile. It'll be a live stream from CBSN, their CBS digital streaming news service, and they'll have a stream of tweets showing related to the conventions, highlighting their ability to provide real-time commentary, which is why we're going to see lots more cord cutting as this develops, because why watch TV?
Well, might be better quality, so we'll see.
We'll see. But they're going to make the service, the stream is available to people who haven't signed up for Twitter, which is very interesting. And, that's going to be part of they didn't talk about the finances, but what's happening is that the news organizations are being charged to broadcast and live stream, and so Twitter made a deal. Go Twitter.
Yeah, well, especially, I mean, I imagine even the interesting part that you said about it, you don't have to sign up with Twitter to see the live streams. With NFL, in particular, which I have a bit of experience with watching NFL games since I was a little kid, then nowadays when you're watching sporting events, you take to social media to discuss the sporting events that you're watching with your buddies or with people that you know online in real time. And so what I imagine Twitter will do is broadcast the NFL games with a live feed of the tweets going on during the game.
That's how they're going to do the convention.
And that's how we're going to get people to sign up too.
Yep, that's exactly what they're
going to conversation.
Yep. Yeah, Motley Fool had an article this week saying, keep an eye on Twitter stock. It might not be, it might not tank forever. And I'm just holding on to mine. That's all I can tell you. But talking about things you hold on to, Google announced just the other day that they are now adding Google Plus as part of the core of Google Apps for Work service. So if you don't have Google Apps for Work, you pay a very minimal amount. I believe I pay $10 a month for it. And that gives you basically access to human assistance when you need it from Google. You can call them, you can communicate with them. So what they're doing, though, is so typical of Google screwing things up. They have this whole guide to transitioning, and essentially what they're doing is they're taking away what you have now. They're switching you to the new Google Plus, like it or not. They're getting rid of anything you may have stored in your business site and your photos. You got to move your photos, and you will not be able to go back to classic Google Plus. And Hangouts will only start from, Hangouts are going to still be a separate app, but you won't be able to start a Hangout from within Google Plus. You'll have to go to, which is what I do now, you have to go to the Hangouts on Air site or start it from YouTube Live. In both cases, it works. But, they're doing this and they're dictating it. And, I think they're going to screw it up again, frankly. But they're trying to say, okay, we'll support it. We'll help you learn how to use it. We'll help you learn how to deal with it. And they've made some changes in the video calls, and they've made some changes in a lot of the things that they're trying to make it easier for people, but in typical Google fashion, they will make it harder. So it remains to be seen, but it's not going away. They said it wasn't going away, and it's not. They're going to support it, and that was part of the big issue before, was that nobody understood how the hell to use it, and there was, which put me in business, and they didn't help anybody. So perhaps now, but there were thousands of pages of information from Google on how to use it, and it was all unintelligible, which is what makes people like me need to help you.
So what's good about this?
What's good about it is that businesses will have support from Google for the platform.
Okay.
And they're making it, they're taking the part
because it's so hard to use, they'll support it.
They're trying to make it easier, and they're taking the parts that weren't being used as much in their opinion, and taking them away. And so they're making it focus, as the new Google Plus does, on collections, communities, and but you need to update before your old one goes away. You need to update in the new Google Plus, and there's a new page, which I've written about on my blog, that you damn well better have your bio in and your About Me page, because that's what's going to be in search. So They've screwed it up royally.
Speaking of somebody who's actually improving stuff, Twitter has released an audience API. This is from Twitter blog post by John Haywood, and this is via NIP or GNIP or however you pronounce it, their analytics service. They have an audience API. It's a flexible service that allows brands to define an audience of interest in order to instantly learn more about the demographic makeup of the users in that group. And so the API allows customers, the advertisers, to get demographic data across 10 user models, quote unquote, as well as at the intersection of any combination, the combination of any two. So the model examples are gender, language, location, interest, device, TV shows. There's 3 new ways to target audiences. You can target followers of any handle, and so you can create audience segments based on the followers of any public Twitter handle. Brands owned organic audiences, so you can create an audience segment made up of users that have seen a brand's owned organic tweets over the last 90 days, and then you can actually segment that by constructing a segment made up of users that have engaged, clicked, liked, or retweeted or whatever with the brand's organic content over the same 90-day period. So retargeting in that sense, and then you can segment with first-party data, so you can create audience segments based on lists of email addresses, phone numbers, mobile advertising IDs, or on Twitter users that have visited a brand's website. So you can do retargeting that way, and that's in their tailored audiences, which they already had. So I don't know if this is necessarily new, but all this is rolling out for everyone rather than in beta now. So
and how much does it cost?
Well, it's advertising, so it's going to cost what it costs. But
it's very expensive.
But this is, well, I mean, this is in terms of the expense of advertising, I think it's Facebook, Twitter, and then LinkedIn in terms of social advertising. But this is getting more sophisticated, and Twitter needs to get a lot more sophisticated with their advertising
absolutely,
to compete with Facebook. So good for them.
They're making. I think they're making a lot of improvements. Frankly, I think they've done, quite a good job. So I do think that brings us now to shiny objects.
It does. What do you got?
Toby Bloomberg at Diva Marketing told me about a messenger chatbot from Whole Foods, and Whole Foods happens to have very good recipes, and they have this chatbot that allows you to find recipes with emojis, and so besides browsing for unusual vegetables or looking at their organic tortilla chips assortment, you can now tap in a recipe database and use artificial intelligence to converse with their robot chef. And so you can browse through and then find the products, and then you can find recipes, and it's more than just a chat. It's got an artificial intelligence agent who knows how to cook, and you select an emoji like a jalapeno or a banana, and you see recipes that involve those, and it lets customers mix and match by typing in a word, and you could select a cuisine like Tex-Mex. It's very cool, and you can have keywords and choose recipes for special diets. It's extremely cool app.
I'm all about Twitter this week apparently. So I got Twitter released a new tool called Twitter Dashboard.
It's great.
And you can use it's at dashboard.twitter.com. You can use it. It's intended, I think, for the smaller businesses who aren't as familiar with Twitter, and for individuals who aren't as familiar with all the ins and outs of Twitter, to make it easy for them. So you can monitor your company brand or name or Twitter accounts by using keywords, or you type in your keywords for your brand or your company,
or your competitor,
or your Twitter account, and you can create a feed that you can then monitor. So you can monitor with it, and then you can schedule tweets with it. It has some basic analytics that you can measure how you're doing with your Twitter account. Comes in both a web interface and a mobile app. and it is free. I will caution, however, that if you already have the Twitter mobile app on your phone, don't install both, because you can get notifications twice for everything that happens.
Oh, that's not good. But, I've said this for a long time. Anybody whose business is centered on providing extra services around Twitter ought to be shaken in their boots when these things come along.
Right.
You should not center your business on somebody else's real estate. And, that's such a fundamental thing, but there are so many businesses that revolve around it. So there's an Indiegogo thing that I fell in love with this week. It's called Tracy, and it's an artificial intelligence GPS tracker combined for dogs. And according to them, and I don't think they're lying, every second a dog runs away and gets lost, and a dog goes missing every second, and most of them are never found. And I know that from when Benny was a puppy, and one time he took off and there were 10 people standing there. He took off so fast we really didn't even know which direction he went in, and fortunately someone brought him back, but that was pretty scary. So this it's the size of a matchbox, and it goes on the dog's collar, and it has an interactive map that tracks your dog's location in real time. But the cool part is it's got a 6-month battery life, and it is waterproof. And so it claims that it also tracks your dog's health. I don't know, and when it needs to eat and drink and go for a walk. I think that's just ridiculous, but it says it does that, and it's going to retail for, I think they're saying $250. They might be saying $500. I couldn't figure the price out, but it's already raised the money that they need on Indiegogo, and it's supposed to start shipping in October. So I was involved in phone home device that was for children years and years ago, that involved going to a payphone, and the thing was huge. And that this has gotten that small and that usable, because most of them are just too big. You can't really put them on your dog, and so this is getting there. Very interesting.
That sounds awfully pricey. Aren't there chips can't you get a chip installed on your?
Yes, but you can't tell from the chip where your dog is. The chip is only like if it's in a shelter, they go over it and the chip tells them who owns it. But if somebody took your dog in a car, you have no way to know where the dog is. But here you can find out.
Oh, good. I had a chance to play around with a service called GroupHi, GroupHi.com. It's a for-fee service, so you need to subscribe to it to use it. But it is among the best blogger relation tools I've had a chance to play around with. It basically you can do keyword searches to identify influencers, and it's based around the idea that influencers are more likely to be a blogger. They're going to have some platform from which to influence people. And what it will do is find influencers based on keyword, and then it aggregates all of their different channels. So it gives you their blog. If they have a Twitter account, it gives you their Twitter account. If they have Pinterest account, blah blah blah, all along down the line. And then it aggregates and gives it basically an influence score based on the whole presence of the influencer, not just one channel.
How much does it cost?
It's starting, I think, at $400 a month. So it's not just that though. You also use it to contact and do blogger relations with the influencer. So you will email through the platform and hold on conversations, and it will record and aggregate all those interactions you have with that influencer. So if you send an email to the influencer, it'll record that email, when you sent it, who sent it, if you're working with a team, if you interacted with them on Twitter, it'll pull that in and interact and record those interactions. So a really, really cool tool, but a little bit pricey. So for individuals or small businesses, but very cool if that's the kind of thing you need.
That sounds very cool. There's one thing that I took out that I want to put back in. It was the best job ad ever. And there was an ad at SoundCloud. They were looking for a dog chef in England. And the source is Metro UK. And they wanted they wanted to have somebody who could cook 30 different dog meals in a month. And they'd have to audition with the office dogs. And what a job. I would love that job.
That's an interesting one. The question is, does the chef eat his own dog food?
Well, I would guess if you were a gourmet chef, you might.
I think you'd have to.
Yeah.
So let's wrap
Daily
this up.
numbers.
Daily numbers. PokemonGO, of course. The daily numbers are about PokemonGO. This week, this is from the Similar Web, which is a great site for statistics if that's what you're interested in. As of July 11th, 10.8% of all Android devices in the U.S. had the PokemonGO app installed. They don't include Apple because they don't release those stats. So this is just Android. But consider that it's pretty popular on Apple devices as well, right? So 10.8% of all Android devices in the U.S. have the PokemonGO app installed. The figure becomes even higher when you include data from Australia and New Zealand. In Australia, 15.1% of all Android users have the app installed, while in New Zealand that has reached 16% of all Android devices.
Not much to do in New Zealand, you know?
Exactly. It is the most popular free app in the iOS App Store and the top grossing app in the iOS App Store as of today, I checked. So, yeah, PokemonGO, big thing.
I wonder how long it's going to be around. I mean, you know,
that will be the interesting thing, because these
come and they go sometimes.
Yep.
Until the next big thing, you know. I mean, that's really the question of the moment. So that brings us to the end of episode 150 of the Beyond Social Media Show. And later on, you'll find links to everything we talked about on our blog, beyondsocialmediashow.com and /150. And if you'd like to give us a review, which we would really like, you can do that at beyondsocialmediashow.com/love. You can find David Erickson on Twitter. He's at D. Erickson. He blogs at eStrategyBlog.com and CreativePR.com/blog, both of which are really extraordinary, and you should subscribe to them. And I am B.L. Achman. I am at What's Next on Twitter. I blog at What's Next blog. I run Maximum-Plus.com for live streaming and video production. The show is on the web at BeyondSocialMediaShow.com. On Twitter, we are BS Media Show. And you can subscribe to our newsletter, and you will find us, of course, on YouTube, where I would guess you're watching us today. And we will be back next week, same time, same station, with our podcast. Thanks for watching.
Thanks for watching.